them is that the testing. So we're going to have a runner that will do specific testing. So the tracers don't have to do the testing to the general public. We have testing schedule with IHS, and that's the structure we're going to use, is to go through that testing, the drive-through. We're not going to be doing testing 10 o'clock, midnight, 1 o'clock, 3 in the morning. It's putting a toll on my tracers because they're putting in 10 to 12 hours a shift. They also have families, and we need to be considerate of that as well. And so with that, I'll give different members on the task force the opportunity to explain, what our situation and our role is. And then my role as a point of contact for the task force is to ensure that these things are going. And then my job is to assess the situation, to see where we're going wrong, to see what we're lacking, to see what we need to fix. And so that's what we did. And so now the tracers, they will not be working 10 to 12 hours a shift. Sometimes they're working almost like 13 hours to do the paperwork. But after we split the shift, we're gonna go put everybody to anywhere from 8 to 10. That's all they're gonna work, because we're gonna burn them out. And we need to keep that momentum going. And if I lose tracers, then you guys are gonna get complaints next. And then it's gonna be coming back again. So we're not gonna do a burnout with my staff. So we're doing a shift change in scheduling for them.
Lisa, do you have a question on that?
Morning, Skylar, thank you for coming down. I just had a question regarding the task force plan that was in place when the pandemic first started, and the organizational chart. Does that need to be updated?
Yeah, because all that stuff is so in the beginning, if you remember, when this was all started, that was all the people that were there, but some of the people aren't on that, on board with this 100%. So some of that stuff's changed, that information, so that's being updated.
Okay. So you're gonna bring it back so you can reaffirm it, or?
Yeah, we were having a working session on it, but we didn't do that on Thursday. We were supposed to do that, but that was.
And then I had some questions from some employees that were on COVID leave. They were waiting for a letter from health admin, and they haven't received it. So today they were getting leave without pay, but will those letters be coming out more efficiently so that they can be compensated?
Yeah. So here's what happened, and I was just like, I was kind of like, okay, we need it. Like I said earlier, we were assessing, we're trying to fix, where we're lacking and strengthen what we need to. So what happened was I hired someone to come do the COVID letters specifically for that, so they can get them out in a timely manner. But here, the first day of work, she tested positive, so I tested her own. So then, so I'm doing them right now because we have my lead tracer down. So I'm doing them. I did a bunch of them yesterday, and I'll continue to do them until she comes back, or until the person comes back, because they're considered essential.
Also, are all our health programs involved that are going out? Are they all getting the hazard pay and are being compensated?
No, nobody. So for the record, nobody's getting hazard pay from any of the programs. Nobody. And it's becoming the issue amongst some of the departments because they feel that, as directors, we're getting hazard pay, but we're not. I mean, nobody is. That premium and hazard pay stopped whenever council made that decision last administration. And then now it's becoming an issue internally with staff from my department, staff from CHR, and they're winning the hazard pay, but I don't think at this point it's hazard. I think it might be a supplement or something, however you guys define it, but we're dealing with that.
Steve, I got a question in reference to the letters. I guess it's to council or the ARPA representatives that are on that board. Where's the trust in directors? I mean, and I'm only going to speak for myself and the corrections, those that are out there on the front lines, because of the limited resources of people that we have within our departments. If somebody's sick, we have to send them home. we can't wait for a test to be completed or whatever, if somebody has sniffles or the cops, they have to go home. Employees are too hard to replace for 2 weeks. I know ACF has a whole bunch of people that are out right now, and so do we. So these letters that we have to go around, it's a pain. You guys sit down here and expect all of this stuff to be done and in order for whatever reason. Maybe somebody's abusing it or whatever, but you know, if I write a letter for an employee and put my signature on it, that should mean something. I mean, I feel I have integrity, and I'm sure other directors feel that way. We shouldn't have to be putting more on health admin and extra added duty and wait for that to get done. I don't know if any of you guys have gone up to that office or have gone over to the tracer office, but there's lines of people up there all day, all evening, and they are busy. I went over and I became a tester for my department because I feel like I'm bothering them for a test. And I don't know who has that authority to make those changes on demand, if it's council or if it's the chairman, if you guys took those responsibilities from him, but you guys need to give a little leniency and give that chairman some authority to make some decisions on this COVID. So you can't wait for you guys to meet. Yeah. This stuff is happening. We had 5 COVID deaths last week. And I know Scott Trans basically tried to make decisions on shutdown. They took a big old meeting up there, and I don't think that meeting was even going that direction of a shutdown. And the shutdown isn't to keep people at home, it's to allow the tribe to clean these offices and keep people separated for a little while to try and at least get a handle on the numbers. Right now, if we did a complete shutdown, we can't handle it. ACF is letting people out. They have a big pandemic within the jail right now. They're letting people out. And they have no choice, really. So there's more issues that need to be discussed involving the task force than a letter. Because it's really serious. I really don't think that the numbers that are issued to employees are even accurate. That's what we test and that's what I test, but you have Valentine, you have Winter, you have White River, you have all these surrounding places that are giving tests that are coming off positive, but we don't always get those numbers from the next team. Our numbers are probably way over 1,300 right now. Take that stuff into consideration, and you have to give the chairman some kind of authority to make prompt decisions. I know it was done in the past, and there was more given to the last chairman, which involved the funds, but that don't have to be specifically for this pandemic. He needs to be able to make decisions on your guys' behalf. There has to be some trust issues there with him coming from the council, because we can't wait for you guys to meet and come up with a decision, especially right now, with the numbers being so high. I had 3 people that got letters saying that they tested positive for the Omicron virus. That's probably why our numbers are so high and why so many people are getting sick who are vaccinated. But I haven't seen one thing mentioned about that. What are the steps we're going to take in reference to that virus? And these guys are they're not just little sniffles and sore throat, they're getting sick. They're knocked down, still trying to come back to work because we're so short staffed. The 5-day thing just don't work. You know, I call and check on them every single day to see how they're doing and seeing if there's a chance they might come back. These guys are on day 8 and 9 and still really sick. There's no chance of them coming back. I've tested 2 or 3 of them that tried to come back on the 8th and 9th day and they're still positive. And I'm not gonna allow them to work. If that virus is still active in their body through a test, they're still able to pass that on to the public. So none of the staff is gonna come back until they test negative. Not at law enforcement. I know ACF does a lot of testing of their inmates and employees out there. Are we gonna have a shortage of tests? You know, do we have a good enough supply to keep testing people the way we're testing? I really think that we should have places set up, especially in these bigger communities, offering those tests for 4 hours a day or something. You've got enough mobile units to be going to these communities. Why aren't we utilizing those? Instead, we're allowing people to territorialize these things that COVID funds bought. When you guys have the authority to put these buildings out in these communities and start utilizing them, testing them, that's what you bought them for. Probably bought more vehicles than you did anything with COVID money. How are those getting utilized? Where are those at? How can we utilize them to get these tests out there or to get these sick individuals the help that they need? Are the tracers short-staffed? Absolutely they are. Right now they have a pandemic in their office. I don't know how the ambulance service is handling it, if they got positives up there, but you know, they're dealing with them hands-on just like we are. Those are things that I want to leave here today, knowing what we're going to do moving forward. There has to be more attention put on COVID. How we're going to help our communities. I'm glad we did the shutdown. I know people are complaining, but you know, that's just the way it is. It's tough. We have to try it. Are things going to get more drastic with the shutdown? Maybe in the future, if we don't get a handle on these numbers, it's going to have to happen. Otherwise, people are going to keep dying or getting sicker, people with illness. You know, this stuff brings out the worst in medical issues. But that's all I have to say is, you know, you guys need to have a little trust in directors and a little more trust in your chairman to make decisions, prompt decisions, and not be putting everything on health admin, or either open another office to deal with all of that stuff, the paperwork side of it. Because, you know, everybody is going to go through burnout during this time. I know all of the staff at law enforcement are going through burnout. I mean, it's constantly changing from 12-hour shifts to 8-hour shifts to 10-hour shifts, just so we can have decent coverage, and our coverage is bad. Even with the full staff, it's bad. So if you lose 2 or 3 people on your staff, it's going to get worse. So we have to constantly adjust. And I'm asking a lot of patrol staff, and I change it on a whim, because that's how it has to be to try and get the coverage we need in the communities. And crimes are higher than ever. We've been so dang busy the last 2 months, probably more than all last year. Our stats are way high. I don't know why that is, but it's what we're dealing with right now, and it needs some attention. Thank you.
Next, Steve, got Daryl, and then Pat, and then Deanna.
Good morning,
Yeah.
Sarah.
Morning.
Good morning, everyone. Good to see you here. Yeah,
I have a lot of concerns, but Skylar already knows all of them.
Thank you.
I just talking for the people. I do have a tremendous amount of compassion for the chasers. They do a job that no one else wants to do right now. We are in a life and death crisis. We have a lot of people sick. Like Steve had just said, IHS isn't the only people that are doing the testing. I live in White River, so I go to the clinic and then they send it to Sanford, and it takes like 24 hours. But you know, I don't know if Horizon is in touch with you guys either.
Yeah.
But I do know that we really need more tracers. We need to give you guys a little bit more money so you can have backup. As far as getting help to people, the food cards and stuff, you know, we need more money for that as well. I do think that we need to purchase a lot more tests. I was looking around online. I know Lucira Health, they offer, I think it's like 1,800 tests for a certain amount of dollars, and they are the safest and most I would say accurate testing.
Yep.
Was the Lucira. So I was looking at all of those. You know, I think that we really need to help all of the departments in the medical field. CHRs, I really would like to ask my constituents to Mushila them with hazard pay. I had to be in the ER. I was very sick in November, and there was an ED there, and it was like 12:30 at night. And I said, "You need a ride?" And she said, "No CHRs coming." So I was like, "Really?" You know, I was like, "Wow, that's incredible." I do have a Kumi from Black Kite, who is a CHR worker who tested positive for COVID yesterday, and she's at Albert. So, you know, your workers are getting it. Like you said, there's a crisis in the jail. That's mostly like the calls that we're getting are people are scared, you know, and it does. The virus works on the mental health and it works on your immune system. It brings out anything that's low lying in your body that can sneak out. And so, you know, with the tests, it would be good if we could set up sites in the communities so the members could go and test themselves, and it takes a little bit of stress off of your tracers. As far as the shutdown, I thought it was a very good decision. I thought it was going to be a reservation-wide one. When we first shut down 2 years ago, I personally found that worked well. Keeping people home, we weren't keeping them in prison, we were making sure they were safe.
Yeah.
So I thought we were gonna shut down as a whole, and I was like, all right, guys, I'm gonna make my supply run, and then I get to Mission, and it's the after EBT, and it's just like popping, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Rapid City, so, you know, I'm like, whoa. So it's our oyate too that we have to ask to be considerate and have compassion for the tracers and for your relatives next to you, you know? Because I see like a lot of, like, I'm wearing double masks today, you know, I'm freaked out, you know, I don't want to get sick. I don't want to get Stan sick, you know, I don't want to get Keith sick, you know? He ended up in Sioux Falls over Rapid City. So we really have to take you guys into consideration, your needs. And I do agree with Mr. Denoyer with giving Scott a little bit more, you know, that authority to make those decisions, because he is thinking for us, and this whole reservation voted for him to be the contract. So, you know, obviously we trust him, you know, and so I'd ask for a little trust from my constituents as well. And I think we really need to look hard at COVID, because 2 years later, we're pretty much in the same boat, you know, and we don't know what our next move is. We can kind of look forward to it, but we don't have any steps that are solid. And I think we need more medical personnel. Really happy to see Deanne here. You know, if we have to find money to bring them in, scientists or two, you know, let's do it. Let's get a hold of this where where they say, okay, well, look at those people, they got it done, you know, they got a whole team looking out for their people, and they got a whole nation that can look at that team and say, hell yeah, they got us, you know? So we just have to work more with you guys, and I know that the mental health right now is at an all-time frenzy, and that's why we got the high volume of calls, we got the, you know, the complaints, we got all of these, because we have a whole nation that are frightened, that are panicked, you know? When the Gatlin started going at Wounded Knee, that's how we feel right now.
Yeah.
We're running, we're panicking, we don't know where to go for cover. And you tracers are our warriors. You guys are the ones who are fending for the sick, the invalid, for those old, for those young. It's you tracers that we're counting on. And I think that my grandma, I used to ask her for stuff, she said, God helps those who help themselves. Yes, ooh, okay, but I think we need to take that stance a little more too.
Yeah.
We can't be standing there like that, you know? We can meet you guys halfway, so, I just wanna say thank you, and, I'm sorry for, you know, always texting you and calling you and stuff, but I'm just trying to get a message across that people feel they cannot, so, I just want you guys to make decisions, and I'll back you up on it. And I think that Scott really needs a little bit more authority as well, so.
Thank you. Thank you, Pam. Yeah, Lisa, Sheriff.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, I'd like to reconsider and reinstate resolution 2020-75. You guys all got it, handed to you, and it's giving you that authority in to make the decisions on what needs to be done for the public safety and general welfare of the people. I need to read it into the house again.
A motion to reconsider 2027-5 and approve. Second by-
Reinstate.
Reinstate. Second by Lisa. You can if you want, just for the public listeners, you might want to just read it again.
So start on fifth, whereas Rosebud Sioux Tribal President has declared on March 13, 2020, the state of emergency in Rosebud Sioux Tribe as it relates to novel coronavirus. Said declaration was made after the World Health Organization declared on March 11, 2020 that COVID-19 was a global pandemic. Whereas the President of the United States, Donald Trump, on March 13, 2020, declared a national health emergency related to novel coronavirus. Whereas the Rosebud Sioux Tribal Council does hereby recognize and affirm the President's state of emergency declaration as it falls within the scope of managing and administering the affairs of the Rosebud Sioux Tribe. Whereas that in order to safeguard, promote the peace, safety, morals, general welfare of the Rosebud Sioux Tribe, the Rosebud Sioux Tribal Council desires to authorize and delegate certain emergency powers to the President during tribally declared state of emergency. Therefore, be it resolved that the Rosebud Sioux Tribal Council does hereby delegate to the President of the Rosebud Sioux Tribe the power and authority to take actions necessary to promote the public safety, general welfare, peace, and morals of the Rosebud Sioux Tribe, including but not limited to the following. A, establishing infection control or mitigation policies such as reservation-wide curfews over all persons residing on or found within the exterior boundaries of the reservation, issuing a shelter-in-place order subject to exceptions for essential medical travel, going to the store, caring for relatives and other households, performing essential functions of the Rosebud, both the RST government and communities, and other exceptions as necessary. C, limiting public gatherings both in scope and duration. D, directing businesses to limit operations or close entirely. E, prohibiting the sale of alcohol by businesses on the reservation. F, no unaccompanied minors out in public. G, promulgate rules that establish civil penalties for violation of emergency order described herein. And such actions are subject to the following. A, any actions taken must be in writing and widely circulated upon the reservation so as to give actual and constructive notice. B, any actions taken shall expire when the state of emergency no longer exists and the notice shall so state. C, any actions taken shall be published by the secretary consistent with the methods described in RST LLC for reasons in addition to announcing on FOIA, CANA, social media outlets such as Facebook. D, any action shall be effective at 12:01 a.m. the following day. E, the Rosebud Sioux Tribal Council shall have the power to rescind or modify the actions taken by the majority vote of the quorum at a newly called tribal council meeting. F, any and all actions delegated to the president by this resolution are subject to the Rosebud Sioux Tribal Council review per section 1U of the RST Constitution bylaws. Be it also resolved that the RST office of the secretary shall distribute a copy of this resolution to the chief of police, the chief judge of the Rosebud Sioux Tribal Court, to the RST prosecutor's office and the RST public defender's office and wherever else required by law.
Any discussion? Eileen?
Good morning. I'm for this. The only thing I would like to see is that we get more, informed of when we're going to do something in our last. We didn't get a lot of, information of what is coming. What you'll be doing. It would be good for us to know that. I would say ahead of time so that we can, because we get a lot of calls with this, not shut down, but shelter in place was, I got a lot of calls because people were, confused. And so, and I even texted you on some things. And so if we can get, some clarification of, or information of when you're going to do this, what you're going to do, that would really be good, but I'm for this. It's just that kind of heads up. Thank you. So I'll second it whenever discussion. I mean,
More discussion on the resolution?
Do we need to add a section of that in here, inquiring that you do notify the council before you do it, whether you put it back or.
I'll just do it by email or text messaging and let you guys know what's going on. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Any more discussion? If not, we need a question. Eileen? All in favor?
1, 2, 3,
Considering
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Donna?
Yes.
Russell?
Oh.
White?
Oh.
Micah?
Yes.
Neil?
Yes.
Bill?
Bill, yes.
Wayne?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Opposed?
17, 0, 0.
Motion carried. Okay, I'll let you guys know what's going on with that. We had,
17, 0.
Dara, not Dara, but Dan, you have on the floor? Lisa, Chair.
Okay, I think we can clear up a lot of this by letting Sherry go over this plan that she wrote up and then I'll answer the questions about the testing, and Steve with his letter, I have a lot of, I think you have a lot of good ideas. And as far as the test kits, sometimes you just can't get the best because we tried to get some and they didn't have any, they were sold out. So yeah, let's let Sherry, I think this will help cover a lot of the questions you all have.
Thank you, Jan. So one of the things that I think we've been lacking for the COVID response is just a lot of questions out there on what we should do. everybody having different opinions on our numbers. This is a draft, and I wanted you to look at it. There's a part on there that isn't complete, and it's the last page. But if you read it over, it has risk levels, and it has positivity rates included, where we're considering positivity rates, new cases, how many hospitalizations, and what our vaccination rate is. That came from a few council people that were sitting here in council a couple of months ago. Those are some of the requests they would like to see with this guidance. I wanted your opinions. I want us to adopt this, but I want your opinions on the positivity rates to make sure that they're all agreeable with you, to make sure that I'm not being too modest or not. And the largest portion that I thought was really important that I get all of your feedback on is the risk level 5. And the reason why there's no numbers by a percentage of youth that contracted the disease or a number of elders is because I wanted your opinion on what you would like to see, because I feel like when we're at risk level 5, that this can cause, gives the president the authority to do a complete reservation-wide shutdown. And with that, I know the schools have their plans in place. And this document does acknowledge that, but at risk level 5, I don't want it to be up to the schools. If we have a specific number of youth that contracted the disease, I want to be able to make sure that the president can do a reservation-wide shutdown. With no travel and a curfew set. But like I said, we'll review the positivity rate and the number of cases. And I wish our screen was working, because I have another chart that I would like to share with you guys that shows a comparison of our numbers from 2020 and 21. And they're completely different. And last year, you can see where we did have some shelter-in-place orders come out, and our numbers did start declining. I thought that would have been a really good piece of information to share with you. I will email it to you so you can see it. That was provided to me by Melina Richards. So I think it's some important data that you all need to see so you can stand behind this. A couple of things, just quick things that I wanted to go over that the task force has talked about and some of the recommendations. We talked about making sure that there's a mask mandate and that there are repercussions for employees that aren't abiding by the mask mandate. We discussed mandating vaccinations to the employees. We also talked about, well, I think Skylar already covered it. The quarantine time is going to be for 10 days for non-essential staff, and essential staff will be 5. We were looking at the data, and a lot of the spikes came after the CDC guidance of the 5 days. We were releasing people too soon. Another recommendation that we have is those who have a sick person at home, even though they're vaccinated, they should not be allowed to come back to work. So until they're clear of their isolation days or quarantine days. Those documents are in the making. We had one working session.
Until they're clear of their isolation days or quarantine days.
Come to you for.
Those documents are in the making. We had one working session until they're clear of their isolation days or quarantine days.
Repeating.
I know, I'm mocking myself. Turn it down. Are we up on the screens? Oh, almost. This might screech when it comes on. I'll just keep it because it might start screeching. I'll share it with you. So with that being said, what is your feedback and what would you like to see for the number of youth or elders?
on the risk level 5. Oh, and would you like to see it a percentage of our population included in there that are infected? Not of our enrollment numbers, but of our population.
Who's report, Lisa?
On Molina, which you got the report, I think that was already.
Does it specify as elder or youth? Does it?
Just the age group number. Chairman, will this help you?
Yes, it would, because I can actually get online and get on PSA and actually say level
what
5,
we're at?
first level 5, 4, 3, this is what's gonna
Maybe we
happen.
should just use the numbers because the numbers are already there in that category. You know what I mean?
Go ahead, we'll get a second again. Second by Ray. Right, Pat.
You know, this is a good start on knowing stuff, but one of the concerns that I have is the, how admin isn't able to get people who test outside of IHS. They're having a hard time getting them. So for me, this isn't gonna even be accurate. I'll support it, but I'm just saying that we don't get information from Verizon, we don't get information from Valentine, Rivera. We don't get that information. They don't tell us because they say that it's a patient's responsibility. So it's kind of hard to really put yourself at what level we're at. All we're dealing with right now is just what IHS is doing and what the task force, the tracers are doing. Those are the numbers that we're working with. And so like when Steve says that we're probably well over 300, we probably are, but our task force is never gonna be sitting at 100% of what the people want. And it's because there's outlining clinics that they attend. So I'm in support of this, but I don't think you can truly tell the public we are currently sitting at risk level 5 or 1, 2, whatever. I don't think you can accurately, as the chairman, make those remarks to the people.
Would still get recommendations from the task force at what level we should be on. You know, I couldn't probably do that as a non-medical person or anything like that without looking at have a task force. We all agree that we're at this level and this is what should happen, Chairman. So I'm still gonna get recommendations from the task force.
I think just a comment to Pam's concern. I would have liked to see this implemented a long time ago, but I think, when this goes out to the public, it puts the responsibility back on the public. And wanting not to go to risk level 5 or, so if the public knows this, it kind of puts responsibility back on them and they did take the precautions that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got a question, I know it changed, just reservation. Are we talking about Rosebud? Are we talking about the eastern part too? Like here, Gregory, Bonesteel, Millspan, how accurate are you out there? That's more or less we're talking about here. We're not reaching out there to see this.
I know that's a hot spot right now, that's like 19. Yeah, I was like, yeah, that's all 19 members.
Yeah, so what I'm saying,
Let's keep some order. Come on, everybody raise your hands if you want to speak. Question or discussion, so Skylar, you want the floor?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, what Steve and Pam are saying, yeah, so it's really hard to curtail that information to come to health admin and So like the help of Lisa will text me and say, you know, so-and-so is positive in her community, her area. That's really helpful because some of those people don't know that, you know, since they're tested over there, that they need to let us know too. And then a lot of the people that test in Valentine or Winter or even Horizon, if they want the services for the food and the supplies, they'll send me a copy of the results to my phone and then I'll print it out. So we do a form on it and see, that's where you guys are getting a lot of the complaints that so-and-so has been missed and they were positive, but when we go to those ones that we missed, they weren't even tested at IHS, they were tested at Valentine, Winter, and we don't know, and then see, that's where you guys are getting bombarded with these people that nobody went out to go see them, but what in reality, when we're investigating how they got missed, it's because Pat got tested in Valentine, Dina got tested in Horizon, but you guys didn't share your results with us, so we couldn't do a file or a referral form on you guys. And then, so it means that we're on air, hopefully the public can hear it, is that if you test in an outside facility other than IHS, please provide a documentation that you are positive if you want to get services for the food and the cleaning supplies. If we don't have documentation that you're positive, we just say I'm not positive, well, I need the documentation for the accountability purposes. And that really needs to be enforced. And you know, it's not that we don't want to help, you have to have the proper documentation for, you know, to help them give them these services, the stuff that they need.